Alright, well, I'm that guy who gets to start out a video by pointing out the fact that this is now my second time trying to record it. Good old InVink bugs prevented it from ever creating a file in the first place, apparently, so when I had stopped recording, nothing actually happened. And I was on a really damn good ramble, and this take, I apologize, but it's not going to be anywhere near as good. So this is going to be a news video / rant, as I discovered in my first take, so let's do it. VidMe is shutting down. If you don't know what VidMe is, it is another video sharing website. I don't think it's fair to call it a YouTube competitor because that's not how it started, and that's not overall its goal, even if that's how it may have seemed at times. VidMe is just a video sharing website. Started back in 2014 as essentially the imager for videos for Reddit and image boards and things like that, and it did that job well, but it was a small website. They wanted to make it bigger. They wanted to make a popular video sharing website, and so they did, and it did pretty well over the past year. I actually talked to some of the creators over at VidMe, not like content creators, but some of the makers of the website, of the platform, back right after I moved into this apartment. So about October 2016-ish, and had a good chat, and it convinced me to use the platform and things like that. But they have announced that they cannot sustain the website, that as of immediately, you can no longer upload or sign up for the website, and as of December 15th, which is exactly 2 weeks, 14 days, 2 weeks away, the website will be deleted, and the videos will be deleted, and it will be over. As mysteriously as it came, it disappeared. Just like Vessel, except more people probably knew what VidMe really was than Vessel. Now, they have a whole Medium post here explaining what's going on, and I'm just going to kind of summarize a bit here. They have a section for what it means for users. Already said, website is, new content's being disabled and website will be deleted. All of your content will be deleted on December 15th. You are able to export it and play content on the website until that point, but then they are permanently deleting content, which is terrible. You only have 14 days to get it if you don't have copies. All paid subscriptions are canceled and no longer being paid, and any outstanding earnings will supposedly be paid out within 60 days. I don't know if that affects, if that counts within whatever threshold they had behind the scenes, because I've gotten a couple donations and supposedly earned some ad revenue, even though they don't share that information yet. So we'll see if I ever get a payment from them. I doubt it. I highly doubt it. Vessel did the same thing when they shut down, and I eventually got a check for $60. It was all I ever made from that website, but I did get the check eventually. They go into, how they started, what they accomplished. They were apparently one of the top 1,000 most popular websites. They reached over 200 million people annually, which they were only around for a couple years, hosted millions of videos, delivered 6 billion views. But they ran into problems. And this is where we'll start transitioning into the more ranty section. So they ran into problems. They ran into a couple problems and why they're doing something different, because they can't do this anymore. Monetizing user-generated content is increasingly challenging. Advertisers want specific audiences, which means the website needs to data mine, and the website needs to have a big back end of data that has already been data mined for the advertisers to go through. Ergo, they want big companies like Google. Most advertisers want brand safe content, which means filtering content and enforcing rules that VidMe did not want to enforce and specifically spoke against enforcing. Few advertisers want to work direct deals with platforms that aren't already big, which means they're just kind of getting the leftover scraps. And they introduced fan patronage, but it was nowhere near enough to support the platform. Go figure. Second point, which is the big point that I always drive home whenever anyone's like, why don't they just make a YouTube alternative? Storing and delivering video, while becoming less expensive, is extremely costly. Terabytes upon petabytes of data and redundancy and backups of data and formal servers and ridiculous amounts of bandwidth and actual server delivery, transcoding the videos, those actual video delivery servers, all required, all completely financially just impossible for all but the biggest tier companies, which is why Google and Amazon and those kinds of companies are the only ones doing it on this kind of level. They say the definition of scale has changed and bringing people away from other platforms is harder. However, the platforms that do pop up and take over would beg to differ. They just sucked at it, I guess. Another big one that they're pulling out here is that the million subscriber creators that were initially attracted to the VidMe model had difficulty bringing their people over. No, they were lazy about it, didn't bother, supporting the platform all that much, and their viewers didn't care because the creators didn't care. If you want an alternative platform, you have to support the alternative platform. Basically, they didn't have a big enough audience. Their creators didn't have big enough growth, which meant they put less effort into the platform, which meant the platform did worse. Now, I've always said, publicly and otherwise, that if you're going to do something, if you're going to get involved in alternative platforms, you should be looking, by the way, for every possible opportunity to syndicate your content where appropriate to other platforms, regardless of whether or not it's monetized, in order to further expand your reach, brand awareness, and so on. I promise you, which is an argument I hear come up all the freaking time. I promise you, those 5 to 10 extra views you start out with getting on Facebook or VidMe or whatever other platform you could upload your video to, those 5 or extra views happening on that site and not on YouTube will not significantly impact your ad revenue in any possible way. It just won't. But it could significantly impact your reach, your growth, your exposure that everyone's begging for. Why doesn't YouTube give me more opportunities? Opportunities are out there. People just don't want to go get them because there's not ads rolling on them. So they raised some they raised some money, but it wasn't enough. And I did kind of notice, like, towards the mid of this year, the whole platform itself just kind of stagnated. And then I had a bad feeling about it, but I didn't expect this quick of a shutdown. But they're just shutting down. They're calling it quits, and it's going to disappear in 2 weeks. And by spring, it will be irrelevant, and everyone will have forgotten what VidMe ever was. They have some insights for newcomers, for those who want to try to build their own YouTube alternative. Plan to operate at a loss for an indefinite period of time. AKA, we had a ton of articles last year talking about how YouTube was not profitable at all for its 10-year history. And they're only able to survive because Google. Infrastructure costs, again, money, hardware, things no startup is going to be able to pull out of their butt, especially once they start to get to scale, because VidMe started as a small niche platform for a specific purpose, decided they wanted to go bigger. It actually got, for their size, got pretty big, and they could not sustain it. Audience building. Self-explanatory. So it sucks. I'm going to be ranting here, but I have to admit, it sucks. I liked VidMe. I liked the team. I liked most of what they were doing. Being so blatantly anti-YouTube and trying to strike YouTube when they were down or something was pretty I disagreed with it on many levels, but I did like a lot of what they did, and I liked the idea that they were trying to be creator first. The problem was, and that should have been blatantly clear to anyone paying attention, was that saying, oh, we're not going to sacrifice X, Y, or Z, we're going to be creator first. No one wants to play ball, or that would already exist. Everyone's had the idea, we'll just do what the creators want. It's not that easy. And this should be, I hope, the final example of saying, hey, why don't they just make a YouTube 2.0 that'll show up, fix all of YouTube's problems, never run into the problems YouTube run into or have any of their limitations, and just make everyone lots of money. It's not possible. And I haven't said a whole lot about this publicly, and I'm using this as an opportunity to do so. I've only hammered it into, probably annoyed the crap out of people I know personally who have talked like this, but people who sit here and complain, and it's fine to have issues with what YouTube's doing with the demonetization policies. It's been hurting me with any of the other policies or changes or lack of updates or changes. It's fine to have a problem with it and to speak out with it to some degree, but spending all of your time uploading YouTube videos, never changing how you go about things, and spending all of your time being negative, complaining about YouTube, and then just saying, I can't wait for the new YouTube to show up. There is no new YouTube. There is very rarely a complete replacement of dedicated platforms. We have hardly ever seen that. MySpace to Facebook is probably the biggest one, and if you count Friendster and a lot of those older ones, and the overall transition from the IM and chat room era of social media to actually what we call social media. But direct platforms? No, when we see sites come up, they are alternatives. They do different things. If you want a YouTube alternative, look around at the sites you visit, the apps on your smartphone. They are all out there. Uploading post-created content in medium to long form to YouTube is its own niche that has always existed on YouTube, and that will pretty much stick on YouTube for all of the reasons that VidMe is shutting down and all of the reasons no one has made another one. It's going to go on YouTube. Podcasting is its own thing. Live streaming your video games to Twitch or Mixer its own thing. Uploading to Facebook, long posts, blogging, Instagram, photography, live vlogging stories, Snapchat, Periscope live streaming, IRL streaming on Twitch. These are all different things, all with their own platforms that show up. And you have opportunities to do that. Jump on them. If you want something other than YouTube, if you want an alternative to YouTube, go sign up for a damn account on one of the alternatives to YouTube and start putting in the work. You are never going to have another website that shows up and says, "Hi, we are the better YouTube. Please keep doing what you've been doing for the past 2 years on YouTube over here. We're going to give you all the views. We're going to give you all the money." There's never going to be any problems. It's never going to happen. There are always alternatives of what you can do, assuming you are honing your skills in video production, vlogging, live streaming, presentation, editing, voiceover. There should be some sort of skills you are developing. Hell, bare minimums as an entertainer. There should be some level of skills that you are honing through this process if you want to get serious about growing it as a business that you can apply to something else. Otherwise, this should just be a hobby for you and you shouldn't be stressing out that much about the changes anyway. But you can always pick up and leave and do something else. People just don't want to do it. They don't want to change what they're doing. They just want the problems to be fixed behind the scenes for us to go back to magical 2011 YouTube where everyone was making lots of money and there were no rules and everyone was happy. Didn't work that way. Won't work that way. Can't work that way. And I get really sick of this constant negativity cycle of everyone just bashing the platform that they rely so heavily on and doing nothing about it for themselves. Sorry, got a little ranty there. I honestly don't feel I said it as well as I did the first time, but InVink likes to bug out in OBS and apparently other programs and not record things. So here we are in lovely X264. So I hope I covered all the things I wanted to cover. Link to VidMe's Medium article will be in the description below. I've already had TubeBuddy crawling through all of my 3,000 videos, including a buttload of unlisted ones, on my channel and getting rid of all references to VidMe. So that way that, no one gets confused and tries to go to a website, because I did that with Vessel for a little while. And yeah, so if it's even possible, like this video, hit the like button. Subscribe to me on YouTube, since you can't on VidMe anymore, and I can't even post this update to VidMe, which really sucks. I uploaded 2 capture card videos there this morning, and now I can't post anything at all. That does suck. I don't know if I covered this earlier, but I always recommend people be searching for syndication opportunities. I think I said this, and you always have time to put even a sliver of your time of the day, or to have someone else do it, since you don't even need YouTube account access. You can just copy the video URLs to syndicate content elsewhere, and VidMe was the easiest possible way to do so. And so the channels who decided that they'd just give up on it because they weren't seeing growth, you were part of the problem. There was no excuse. It was the easiest platform in the world to syndicate to, and everyone should always be syndicating. And I think I'm hoping it was this rant that I just said, those 5 extra views you get aren't going to make you money to make it worth it. Just the possible exposure and possible brand awareness increases and things like that are going to be way more positive of a gain than the 5 cents, 1 cent extra financial loss or lack of gain could ever be. But yeah, so I've been syndicating there, and so it sucks that it's gone. But subscribe to me on YouTube, since you can't on VidMe, and come follow me on social media, because I do other things. I don't do them full time because I'm not sitting here looking for alternatives. I'm happy with what I do, but we've got the YouTube, we've got the Twitch, we've got the Twitter, we've got the Facebook, we've got the Instagram, I've got a Snapchat. I don't really use it, but I have it. We've got a Discord server where you can stay a community and talk and chat with us. That would be great. Got a Patreon if you do want to support me via fan funding and help combat the demonetization adpocalypse 3.5.24.0. And I'll see you next time. EposVox is a Patreon-supported production. Our videos would simply not be possible without the support and generosity of our patrons, whom you can see on screen now. If you'd like to join the inner circle and get early access to videos, among other benefits, go to patreon.com/EposVox to learn more.